What's going on, guys? Welcome to our Final Fantasy Wave Access video, and today we're going to be reviewing the Final Fantasy 6 units of Locke, New Vision Locke, and New Vision Awakened Sabin, and Edgar, and also 5 to 7 star Setzer. So, if you like these kind of reviews and things like that, make sure you give a subscription, make sure you like the video, make sure to hit that notification bell, and let's get into it, shall we? So we got Sabin here first. So Sabin is now going to be a magic and physical cover tank. He has chaining as well. He doesn't lose any of his chaining from his 7-star form, but you're probably not going to be looking at them anymore. I think there are some things involved with that too. You can get a little boost in that, I believe. But in general, not really worth it considering how old it is, even with modifier boost, I believe. So yeah, he has 70% all mitigations for one use for himself, which is nice in a desperation move. 5k HP barrier, also 250% defense and spirit buff for himself for 2 uses. Flat HP and also attack passive, 100% guts as well, which is quite nice because I don't think he had that before. So it's good. Oh, it's always good for a tank to have that. 250% magic buff permanent. As soon as he gets into battle, he gets that buff. Quite good. So if you ever run out of your other buffs, you always have that one permanently. So quad cast permanently in his brave shift form, quite good. And obviously he's a mage in his brave shift form. That's why there's also, he gets a flat 1k magic passive in his brave shift form. 150% magic true to wield in his brave shift form. Light, fire, wind, chaining in his brave shift form as well, so he's able to quadcast all that stuff. It's good, but there are some downsides. So unless he gets buffed, which they didn't say anything about, I'm sure he's going to say the same. No 6 times cap in his brave shift form, which is very, very detrimental for a true to wield mage. Very unfortunate. His fire and wind chaining are a very low modifier. Like, you really would only use it if you just want to use it for like capping something with another one of your mages that have those elements. That's really the only thing you'd want to do. And his little burst is huge. It's a meme. It's been talked about before. I think everybody knows about his little burst at this point. It's such a gigantic mod, but it's non-elemental, so it basically is worthless. If you're a new player and you don't understand that, basically elements and imperiling elements do a tremendous amount more damage than non-elemental damage. Maybe someday they'll make a non-elemental imperil or something along those lines to help this out, but generally speaking, and if you see anything non-elemental that's not for story, like if you use that stuff for story, that's fine, because anything can be used for story. But when I usually talk about if something is good or not, I'm talking about trial setting, and non-elemental damage is just bad. You're just sacrificing way too much damage for almost nothing, so it's not worth it. So that's what I mean by that. Overall, Sabin is a very, very, very good tank, mixed with being a mage and being a physical chainer if you want him to be that as well. So what am I going to give? I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I think he's very good in that role where he can be magic or physical cover, most likely going to be magic. But yeah, he has a lot of good things about him. So 8 out of 10 for Sabin. It's a very good score. For if you're new to my channel, basically how the score goes is 7 out of 10 is the baseline average score. Anything above 7 is going to be very good and worth your time. Anything below 7, now it starts, you know, maybe not so much worth your time. Anything like a 6 out of 10, not so good, but maybe you can work it out. Anything below 6, now you're starting to become like, oh man, I don't know if they're worth my time or not. So yeah, 8 out of 10, very good score. And let's move on to the next one, shall we? We have Setzer here, who's a 5 to 7 star. His STMR is a throwing weapon, which may actually see use on the global side, not so much on the JB side, but may actually see some use on the global side because there are some spirit-based damage dealers. So I don't know if they use throwing weapons. I didn't really look, but Does have guts, that's 7 times, but it's such a low chance. You can't really rely on that. It would be good to like have guaranteed guts and passives, what you already have, but this would be good like if you make it, maybe it'll work. I don't know. Most likely it won't. 150% Spirit True to Wield, pretty good. Unfortunately, on the global side there is no way of increasing Spirit True to Wield. On the JP side there is. On the global side there is not. Currently as of this video. Unless, I don't think there's anything that I may have missed. There was Spirit TDH, not Spirit True to Wield. So 150% Avian and Demon Killer. Demon Killer, much more common than Avian, but Avian may see some use in Dark Visions, for example. But I don't know if you would ever bring him along as long as you really wanted to. Fixed damage user, so you know how he was in this 4-star form where he had damage moves that were fixed and stuff like that. Spirit based, Stardust Ray, and also CWA chaining, and a zone effect on a cooldown. So you get a zone effect on a 7-star unit. So free to play is possibly accessing to zone effects of 150% spirit and defense for 3 turns for all your allies. That's an extra buff, by the way, for anyone who does not know anything about zone effects. Basically, it's an effect that appears above your head. It'll show you up here. I'll tell you what it is, and it's an additional buff that doesn't conflict with any other kind of buffs. For example, if you are using like a buffer of some kind and use defense and spirit buff, it will not. It'll stack on top of what you're doing with Setzer here. So if you are interested in that, that may be an interesting opportunity for you. So his negatives are that he's an RNG unit and also a 7-star DPS in the NVA Vision era. I think that's all needs to be said about that. So what am I going to give him? I'm going to be giving him a 7 out of 10. He has potential of being good. Maybe he'll get a NVA Vision Awakening in the future. I think that'd be pretty interesting. And I think the sprite itself is amazing. I think the sprite itself deserved to be a NVA Vision, but not right now. So 7 out of 10 for him, and we're moving on. And now everybody's looking forward to Edgar because of how much damage he can do. So let's go over Edgar now that everybody's excited about him. Triple cast for all of his abilities, which was really nice to have that. 80% flow break on demand now, single target. Spear in Peril, which is going to be quite good for him because he will be using spears most likely, right? Spear in Peril, which will allow you to do more damage if you have a spear equipped. Pretty self-explanatory. 100% Machine Killer AoE, magical and physical, and also magic machine mitigation 25%, which is pretty good. Yeah, for magic and physical, that's quite good, I think. He also has Avian and Machine Killer's passive and also active, which is Machine Killer's part is more interesting than the Avian part, which we've gone over. And his Brave Shift form is now a Dragoon, which everybody is more excited about than anything else. Like, get to the Dragoon part. Okay, we're at the Dragoon part. Dragoon's Dragoon in the game, even after Mazurka comes out, he'll still be strong. And yeah, he'll also be one of the top DPS in the game as a jump finisher. So look forward to that, guys. Only negative is, well, there's one negative and one just something you'll have to look for. So obviously the biggest negative is he has no imbues, but pretty much no Dragoon has imbues anyways. So you got to figure out a way to imbue him. He's true to wield, so you can equip an elemental weapon if you want. So, and the other thing is just something to be mindful of, not really so much of a con. You gotta juggle between breaks and jumps if you want to use him as a breaker as well. So that's really it. And I'm going to be giving him an 8.5 out of 10 for being such a really strong Dragoon and such a, like, it's like a blossoming flower. It's like garbage. He wasn't really that garbage, but it's like taking trash and making it treasure, basically. The best example I can think of on the fly. So 8.5 out of 10 for Edgar. And moving on to our last one here, we got Vision Locke here with an STMR. I have a throwing weapon, 189 attack, 100% Avian killer. I have it on the JB side and it's not even really that good, honestly. He's the only one who's ever been using it, so it's definitely not anything worth chasing. And I think I probably said that in my JP review as well. It's not worth chasing. Avian killer, they try to make it a thing and it's not a thing, so I know that now. 150% true to wield 6 times cap, pretty good on both sides, I believe. Chance of being targeted in his base form, and 100% dragon killer in avian killers. Dragon part pretty good, avian killer not so much. 40% evasion in his normal form, and 30% evasion in his brave shift form. Keep in mind on that, and also keep in mind that he has 0% targeting chance in his brave shift form, so you got to build around that as well if you want that to happen. That's caught me off guard a few times. I've forgotten about that. And he also has water and fire in peril. Fire imbue for all allies. Also has AoE auto revive and the same move, so it's quite good. 80% breaks on demand, 85% breaks on a cooldown, very low cooldown, and 90% breaks on for attack and magic on his limit burst, in his normal form limit burst, that is. And he has the dagger break dodge ability, which is pretty useful for some things, and also 50% dragon avian mitigation, pretty good for physical and magical. Perfect dispel, which I've used quite a bit myself, and also he has throwing weapon, bow, and also gun in perils. The gun one is pretty good. The bow I don't think is good, but hey, maybe on the global side, maybe that'll see some use. And throwing weapon, obviously for himself, pretty good. So there are some flaws. His little burst breaks only last for 2 turns, which is not that big of a deal, but it's something to be aware of. No AoE Mirage like Vaughn. No water imbue, even though you can water in peril. And you can water chain, but he has no water imbues. And his fire AoE imbue only lasts for 1 turn. It doesn't last for 1 turn, but you can only use it once. So there's that, and also no, like I mentioned, no auto provoke passive, like no being targeted in his rage shift form. So you got to build more on top of that, and the evasion on top of that as well. So if you want to do for both, make sure you're doing that. So that's about it for Locke, and I think I'll be giving him a 9 out of 10. A very good breaker. He's basically chaining version of Vaughn, except with no Mirage. And you can imbue. Like, instead of being able to do Mirage, now you can imbue, and you know, it's a give and take, but obviously higher breaks means that he's probably gonna be better. But Vaughn still has that limit burst of that 130% fire and peril and breaks. So he still has that going for him if you don't want to switch over. If you want to just stick with Vaughn, or you want to stick with Assassin Shadow, you know, things like that, it would be good too. That's gonna be then my review, guys. Hope you guys liked our review. If you did, please give a like. If you're new here, like I mentioned, please give a subscription to the channel. If you want to support the channel in some way, make sure you click that join button to learn more. There will be a join button on the page as well. And if you watch all the way to the end of this video, make sure to type in hashtag throwing weapon. Hashtag throwing weapon will be the keyword for the ending of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your plans are, maybe waiting for Christmas next week. And I'll see you guys hopefully in the next video.